So let me start the recorder again. So have you guys noticed that before, or where like it plays music for a little bit?
Yeah, we have noticed it.
Okay, all right, awesome. So you got that one, and now I guess we'll just dive right into. You can mute the sound from the live stream if you want, since everything will be just visual, and you guys will hear straight through Skype. So I'm logging in, good stuff, and a lot of these things are just, the interface and how other games present it and how I think it works and doesn't work. It's like, you got all this like great information here, but we need to, sometimes you want to check out a Bloodline, right? So you're like, alright, I play Herald, and then I want to check out Harbinger again, and then I gotta, go back and press Harbinger, and it sort of like scrolls over, and, I guess it could be hard to just like compare side by side Bloodlines, because it just moves over all the time, as you can see, to the Bloodline over to the far left. So if we can make it not scroll, I think that would be better.
Yeah, we actually had it not scrolling first, but I think Sek did a bug fix and then it needed to be like this. But I guess he can do something about it.
Yeah, so...
Be a problem.
Yeah, also, is it possible to, where, if you want to compare two Bloodlines, so, I would have, Psychopomp and her display information over here, since it only looks like it takes up about half of the display anyways, and then I could have, Ranid or Vanguard over on this other half right here, and so that, I could compare between the two. I don't know if that's even possible, or I think it'd just be pretty nifty to be like, oh, which healer do I play better, what's my win ratio, stuff like that. That's one thing that I was just noticing. All of the main idea here, though, is that, I feel like when I'm doing, statistics or transactions and achievements, I feel like I'm in Windows Explorer, trying to go through all these little things before I actually get to the main content area in the middle. Now, one thing I would like to see is that, if I click achievements, sort of like in StarCraft 2, how they do it is if I click transactions or something, this middle area would fill up with a button for all transactions, game transactions, item transactions, so that the user can easily know that, okay, I click transactions and here are my options right here. And so you could have an icon for all transactions, and might show a display of the top 3 latest things that you did, but that way the user can easily navigate. And I know I want to look up a lot of achievements, but I don't really feel like going general game modes and then just going through a Windows Explorer. So if there was some kind of graphical option where you could put the buttons in the middle to navigate your way down to the end where the actual achievements are displayed, I think that would really enhance, the user experience and make it more enjoyable to look up, your latest achievements as you get 10,000 headshots or something like that. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. I definitely agree with you. And regarding the Bloodline comparison, we talked about that already. We're probably going to do it when we have the time for it and not other more prioritized features.
Right, okay. Awesome.
Good idea with to skip the tab clicking so you can have it in the bigger frame.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, you can have the tabs over as well, so that you can quickly navigate back to, the achievements, or if you're going from, game modes to rated games or something like that. That way you still have the navigation there, but it's much easier to just click, 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 rather than, being really boring, in my opinion, off to the left. Let's see, content navigation bar. Yeah, so disregard number 3, because, it would be just in conjunction with number 2, pretty much. Okay, profile database. This guy up here, when searching for a bunch of stuff, right now it just brings you to an empty screen. You know, it's like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, you know, there's a search bar, but it's just not very appealing, right? And what a lot of players and, you know, people, what they want to do is they quickly want to see, you know, their friends, their clan members, or like, you know, somebody they recently played with to look up their stats when they get, you know, rocked, and they're like, oh, that guy, you know, has a threes team that is, you know, in the Blood God League or something like that. So, you know, put kind of graphical icons here where it's just like, you know, check out your friends, you know, check out your clan members, check out recently played with, you know, people, and then, you know, spice up the search bar a little bit. You know, it says use the search tool to, you know, find people, but it's just not very appealing. You know, you could like spice it up, maybe put like a bigger thing that says like search or something along those lines where it just makes it, you know, easier for the user to really, you know, look for the person he wants. And in addition, with all these down here, it really shouldn't be too much of an issue. What do you guys think about that idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea as well. I mean, it's about, yeah, just have the time to tweak it, but I definitely agree. It would be cooler to have it more like the WoW Armory page, where you have a bigger search in the middle and you have all like links and stuff to class, arena teams and stuff.
Right, alright, that's good. So again, you know, this is sort of the same point, going along with that theme of, you know, instead of having to go like this, you know, you can actually, you know, search via the icons in the middle, and, you know, you can see all of these stats right here would just be displayed. You know, it'd be like Diamond League, you know, like 3 divisions, 148 participants, but like the whole box would be like that big or something. You know, it's the same point as 2 and 3. Knowledge base, same kind of ordeal. But something I would like with the knowledge base as well is a lot of people don't know how to use all of the, you know, slash commands, or if they're new to this kind of genre or just chat in general, a lot of people don't know how to do like /R and then space and stuff like that. So you can also make something along with like gameplay, beginner's guide or something where you can just explain the chat commands as well, and I think that would help out a little bit. You know, you do have the /W, but you know, /R and other stuff like that, just to spice it up a teeny bit. Also, it's a wall of text. People don't really like reading a wall of text. You know, if you were to, you know, break it up into smaller sections, people are more inclined to read smaller things, and they're like, oh, I'll just read this little bit. Okay, this is helpful too. So they'll eventually read all of this, but if it's in a block form, it's just like too much wall of text, not going to read, and stuff like that. So
probably better to put up a table of chat commands and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Also, with like the energy system right here too, you can, you know, tell people, it's like, hey, when you have 40% energy, your bar will turn green. It'll look like this. You can have, you know, more kind of graphical stuff. Break it up just a little bit more. That's what I'd really like to see. And you know, since Funcom, you know, they've got to make some money out of this too, and they're sort of like hosting all your stuff. Same idea for point 2 and 3. You can just move, like, you know, have all that stuff, and you can find the weapon you want, and so people will be more inclined to buy it because you get there easier. So it's just a, you know, that kind of interface change would really be key in my opinion. Point number 10, the sort of nameplate, I guess it's just to fill dead space, but is there any chance where, you know, you could bring back the total players online? Because I know a lot of people are like, how many people are online? Where did that thing go? You know, so we could like maybe bring that back, and instead of like that scrolling, I mean, I guess you could have it just, if you needed to fill that banner up top, you could just have them statically laid out. But I was just, you know, I feel like it's really unnecessary. I know who I am when I logged in, and you know, it's displayed right here in the beginning anyways, and so I just don't I don't really see the point, and I think you can do something else with that space, in my opinion. Like I said, these are some kind of nitpicky things, but you know, you can, with your creativity, come up with some good stuff. Okay, for point 11, have you guys played Heroes of Newerth?
Not that much, but I
Okay.
have.
Okay. Alright, I guess I can open it up and show you what I'm talking about. This might, you know, lag my computer a little bit, but the idea is that, you know, you have join game, ladder game, and create game, and that's great, but people want to just have bigger buttons and to have an icon to go with those kind of buttons. You know, right here after this loads, because I've got, you know, like 10 things running, but Heroes of Newerth did the same thing you guys are doing. You know, they had these kind of small buttons, and then they realized everybody was complaining about them, but right now what they did is they updated to these bigger buttons with icons on them, right? So you can match stats, you know, very easy. Compendium, store, player ladder. Like, you don't have to do it exactly like this, but, you know, like join game, you know, create a game, you know, single player. If they had an icon attributed with them, I think it would make things a lot better, in my opinion. So that was just the point I was trying to make, because this looks visually more appealing. It's a bigger button, and you can just quickly look at the icon and be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, join that. So, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, we have already discussed several of the
things? Okay, alright, well, you guys can interrupt me.
You have the same opinion as us.
Oh, okay. You guys are just, you know, backlogged with a bunch of stuff. And, like, you know, feel free to, you know, if it's like, alright, we've already done point 13 and 14 or something like that, you guys can stop me anytime, or whatever. So, one thing that can be dangerous, going on to point 13, is, you know, I try and join a solo game here, and, like, you know, I can just create a game, and, you know, it's like, that probably shouldn't happen, but, you know, you should probably ask if they want to leave queue or something like that, but, you know, it's just like, if you're trying to join a game, you know, sort of have something where it disables those kind of other options. Or if somebody's in a queue and they, like, meant to press channel 0 but then click single player, you know, and then it's just like, what's going on? Or tutorial, like if they had ladder game and then press tutorial by accident, they'd get upset. So maybe just, like, disable, you know, the buttons here and, you know, anything clickable that will take you away or, like, create another game, you know. So, just a small little touch-up thing right there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and, you know, right now we have the scrolling bar, and, you know, when you click it, you know, you're like, alright, I'm searching for a game, no problem, but it's like, I want to know those kind of things right now, because most people will see this screen, and, like, you know, it'd be cool if this kind of information displayed in the middle was somewhere, like, visible immediately, and, like, you could actually see, like, the cues of, you know, what's going on in 2s and 3s, or some kind of new information, and, like, you could put something on there too, with, like, you know, like, if you had, like, an overlay, I know some games, they, like, put a little overlay over the screen here, and, you know, you can put, like, you know, your favorite Bloodline is, like, Psychopomp, you know, here's, like, the latest stuff for Psychopomp, if you really wanted, but, I think that'd get in the way personally, but, you know, just something to spice up, you know, the searching for a game and make it seem a little more, you know, epic or a little more visually pleasing than just like a purple bar that says searching for a game and you have to scroll over it to see what's actually going on. So, I guess you guys can come up with your imagination as to what you want to do with that, but I think it would just really give it more of a pop.
Yeah.
Alright. Icons on top, you know, they're sort of lackluster. It's like, okay, I sort of know what they are, and I guess you want to keep, like, the main interface clean, but, you know, it's like seeing, you know, bigger buttons, or, you know, doing what kind of what Han did and what StarCraft did is, they have these buttons, and they're a little more prominent, and you can actually know what they are right off the bat, and they're a little bit more catchy. So you can find things a little bit easier instead of having to just be like, what's this top bar? Oh, okay, here you go. Whatever. But, again, just a small thing. That's what a lot of these are. Oh, yes. A big thing is a lot of people who pre-ordered or already have a Bloodline and stuff like that, they want to know, how much does a character require to unlock, or how much did this weapon cost to unlock. Now, they can't see that when they've already bought the Bloodline or bought the weapon, so they can't tell their friend, oh yeah, it's like 15k blood coins or something like that. And another thing to go along with this is, it says requires Guardian, but what if I'm trying to plan ahead for how many blood coins I need to save up total? I want to know how much it costs. I have no idea from this screen how much a Guardian Officer outfit is going to cost me. I can see my available funds, but since I don't have Guardian, I can't see how much the Officer outfit is. And I guess that's a little bit discouraging when you're trying to plan ahead and do some kind of, homework. Or just even tell your friends, oh yeah, it's like 4K for the Guardian outfit. If they see somebody else in a game and they can't check it right off the bat themselves. So, I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. We should definitely change that.
Alright, now to go with some of the more basic things that have been a little bit of an issue for a while. When you create a game, we're going to make this a private server. I guess you guys already know about this anyways, but, if you're a host and you leave, everybody else is screwed, right? It doesn't change who host is, the game just drops. So, if the host disconnects, the server messes up, or if the host has to leave, but, there's 5 other players that have been going for a while, and they haven't added each other yet, it's very, kind of upsetting. It's like, oh man, that was a good run, but now, gotta remake a server, find all those guys, what were their names, and, just make it so it changes host automatically without kicking everybody from the server. Is that even possible?
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, yeah, because that's been a thing where it's just host leaves by accident because he has to quick go somewhere, and the rest of us are geez, now I gotta remake. Who's remaking? No. So, that's one thing. Also, another thing is, you guys, when you're creating a game, right, the maps, you can select multiple maps, which is great. You click like that, and then you can just click and drag. That's great. Boom. But in the settings here, you can't do that. No matter if I shift and hold or control and hold, I can't select multiple maps. And when you're trying to, change maps or change a setting to win score down to 4 or up to 4 or something, you're forced to go to the screen, and it just stays on one map the whole time, and it's just annoying for players to have the host to pick a map every time it's over, especially if it was a really close match and you want revenge. You're just like, oh, I gotta repick the map and yada yada. So if you guys could bring in the feature to be able to select multiple maps like you do when you're creating a game for this menu area, that would be awesome.
Right.
Okay, so is that doable?
Yeah. The reason we don't have it is that it's a bit tricky. When you go into settings, it's often that you want to change the map. And if you select multiple maps and you just press save and exit, you're gonna get one of those maps and maybe not one you really want to play. So often, we just wanted to change to a specific map. But I guess, it shouldn't be a problem. Then you select one map to the pool.
Yeah, if you're selecting multiple maps anyway, think about it. You want to play all 3 of those maps.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, for the most part, which one it is. So, or, if you wanted, you could just have a button or something up here, if you want to keep it that way still, and be random map rotation, just have an icon or something being random map rotation. They can click that, save and close, and it's back to the way it was. So that way it's easier for you guys, and you can just pick that selected map if you really want. Alright, so point number 18, we're moving along quite nicely. Sometimes, or it's very rare, but sometimes it doesn't rejoin the queue if somebody leaves in the lobby. So, I mean, that's a very rare bug, and I'm sure you guys are like, okay, we've never seen this, but, you know, it just happens, and I guess I'll be on the lookout for it a little bit more if it's really an issue. Okay, well, I guess you guys know about, do you guys know about number 19? Countdown timer's a little bit off for observer mode. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. I'm going to go as an observer. Oh yeah, here's one thing. Look at, you see that screen? Waiting for all players to pick their bloodline? Like, why not just have this as the default when you're an observer? You know, it's much better. That way there's like a graphic right there, and when I'm shoutcasting or something like that, I don't have to scroll over the bottom thing and be like, well, this is the will of Sergen. You know, it's just the default thing, default map. Also this, like, I believe the interface should be there right off the bat anyways. And if you notice the discrepancy between when it went 3, 2, 1 here versus 3, 2, 1 right in here, it was off by like maybe 0.75 seconds. So a little bit of a synchronization just to give it that, again, that polish, you know, that this game needs. So I'm just gonna leave this game because I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. But you know, synchronize the clocks for observer mode. Change that middle banner so it doesn't say waiting for all players to pick their bloodlines. And that, or give the option for an observer to preview bloodlines. You know, what if it's a new player just wanting to observe his friend play before he gets in? He needs to, you know, check out the bloodlines, even if they're locked too. You know, he can check out the abilities rather than having to go like knowledge base and have this clunky interface and stuff like that. And go to Bloodline Guide. So
the reason for that screen where you have waiting for players is that someday we're supposed to like add so you can maybe click a player, and as a server you get additional information so you can see favorite bloodline statistics on the current map.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like cool observer features for like you like commentators and stuff.
Oh, okay, that would be awesome. In fact, that would be awesome.
Prioritize list, but that's what that screen is for later. So
all right.
Please made that as long as, until we have the time to make something cool for observers.
All right. Yes, finally something for us observers. I like that. And then, why is the interface delayed on the startup? Is that for some kind of feature you're gonna put in the future?
Well, not sure really, but I guess it's the same thing as the observer delay stuff. Like the observer is delayed 3 seconds. Yeah, it's probably because of that delay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if both of them could come in at the same time, that would still make things a bit better, rather than the bottom coming up and then the top, you know, following a little bit later. You know, if things are just in sync, you know, these little minor touches really do bring a lot of spice to the game.
Yeah.
Timer. Okay, so when you're in a match, you know, the timer again off when you're actually playing. It's you know, it's off just by 0.25 seconds. It's really close, really close. In a game with all the bots, is there a way where if you're like the only observer, or if you're the host observer or something like that, where you can make it so it doesn't like auto start as soon as like a round's over or something? Because as you saw, like, they all ready up just immediately and don't give you any time to change the bots or to change any settings about the map, or, you know, if you're just trying to look at something and view, you know, what the bloodlines do, just having all the bots just ready up, you know, you can't change them and really get the, you know, you have to remake it every time to change anything. So is there any way to like delay when they're ready?
Yeah, it should be possible.
Okay, awesome. The number 23, sometimes the winning music just doesn't play, so it's just like, oh, they won the round, and no music. I don't know, do you guys want like a preview of that, or are you just gonna take my word for it?
It's okay. We can check it out. It's just versus bots, right?
I haven't confirmed it with actual players because I haven't played one round to win matches with actual players. I mean, I could do that with one of you guys, but right now it's only with bots, so it's really not significant at all. But you know, if I find it, I'll just update this document, or you know, tell Kay or something like that. Okay, so going to, you guys got any comments, questions, or you know?
Not yet.
all right. So just gonna fill this up with bots real quick. I love the bot chat, by the way. It's really funny. Here, you see where it says archetype? Like, there's no point for it saying archetype. You know, just be like all bloodlines, melee damage dealers. You know, archetype really doesn't need to be there. You can make that text a little bit bigger for lower resolutions. It's easier to read. Also, when I'm, you know, broadcasting, if I ever need to just, you know, do a general guide, which I am actually. I'm trying to make a whole series of guides about, you know, positioning, the interface, you know, just, you know, to get new players interested and get them right into the game. You know, this just, again, a minor thing, but archetype, if you could take that out and make the text a little bit bigger and fill the box, or, you know, even scale the box down so it's not just a static size box, but it actually fits to the text. That might be a little bit better. So, yeah. And then, okay, so another thing is that, you know, when you win a round, I'm going to leave, but when you win a round in a game, right, it's like, you guys did a good job with, you know, saying, hey, the warm team wins, so you have time, you know, it rotates, that's a good epic feel, but, you know, when it's on the person, you can't see their name, because the text, you know, overlays what their name is, so it can't be like, you know, Elictal, and it's like, you know, scrolling around them, it's like, no, I can't read that, because it's conflicting, but, so if you guys could either reposition it, or, I guess, make it, I guess, put the name off somewhere else, but, I don't know, like, do you guys think that's even necessary? Because, I mean, it's sort of cool to see your name when you win.
Just, like, put it a bit higher.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, check on that, but, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to see the name, please.
Yeah. Okay, so going on to point number 26 through 30. If you are an observer and, you know, sometimes when like a blind or something happens, I don't know, I think you guys fix this, but you can see, like, if you're following somebody and then it, you know, if they die or they get blinded or blackened or something like that, you see that whole kind of like red screen even when it's like on the, you know, rotation, the winning cam. And so if somebody dies and then it goes to the winning cam, it's like all red or it's all black, and it's just hard to read, and you can't read the, you know, warm team wins the game and stuff like that. So, you know, if something could be fixed with that, I haven't seen any developer comments over here, so I don't know if you've touched that at all.
I know Sek was working on it. I don't know if it's in the patch yet, but yeah, we are aware, and I think we might already done that.
Yeah. You guys fixed this point. You guys fixed this. You guys, I just told you about that. Here, when you do, like, I'm going to observe a game, right? And, you know, I want to see, you know, the ability bar, or like do follow mode. You know, it doesn't matter whether I put it as slim or full or whatever. when I do the follow mode, I can see the full ability bar on the bottom for the player I'm following. So if you're trying to get, just a chase cam in observer mode with no interface for some odd reason, it just doesn't work as intended, I don't believe. So here we go, full ability bar, as you can see on the bottom, and then we go to options, interface, and observer settings. Let's put it to slim. Oh, you guys actually did change that. Well, I'll be damned. I will be damned. It wasn't okay. So half of these are from like the patch, the QA server. I started this on the QA server. So, all right. Well, you guys fixed that. So good job. That was very good. I was making sure you guys were awake. All right. So I think you guys, with some of my suggestions, put in some of these. Oh, okay, yeah. Is it possible to make like a broadcaster mode? This guy right here, where it's just like I can auto ready up and just leave a live stream on. Because 24-hour live streams are pretty cool. And if there was a way that I didn't have to press like ready and it, readied me up after a match, that'd be awesome as a broadcaster. I could just leave my computer on all night, join a European server and, watch you guys like play all day or something like that. Like
yeah, I think it should be possible to allow how to rejoin the lobby as observed.
Okay.
Maybe it should be as default because you can just leave whenever you want as observer anyway. So.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, you can. So it should maybe be how to join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to see scoreboard, maybe you can discuss it. So it should be an option, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. Or like, an option would be best. Let's see. Instead of having interface text, it might just, another small option is that you could, like, instead of all this like damage and numbers popping up, of course you want to see that, but just for some people, if you're trying to keep it clean, just only have the names and like the bars and stuff there. Might help, because when there's like a huge clutter of people, like you just see all these numbers flying up, and you're like, what is actually going on in that pile? So, I don't know, it's just something to think about, I guess.
Do you mean the scrolling combat text, or?
Yeah, the scrolling combat text.
You can. Can't you hide it?
Okay. Did they... Okay, you guys updated that? Alright, cool.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Interface... yeah, okay, you're right. Scrolling combat text. Okay, I apologize. Kast is a noob. Yeah, like I said, a bunch of these were from the QA, so... well, this obviously is from the QA, but... Actually, here's a fun point that I want to do, and it'd be really neat too, is like a combat log for the observers, right? So if you want to like reference back, or like if I have a co-caster, and I can be like, what did he, what was that combo for 60 damage, or something like that, and you can be like, well, on the cold team, it was the combination of this, this, and this. If I like missed it or something like that, and he can reference it from the combat log. It would just take the combat logs of the other players and just stick it in there, and like you could have it so that it's half on one side here. Let's actually join a game, and so I can show you my idea correctly. Alright. Ah, crap. 1 second. I apologize for this, guys. So, but, sorry to, do this all in the morning, but it's very hard for me to get a time with you guys because of the 6-hour time difference. So, but, alright, so for the combat log, like right now it only just says round 1 begins. But, like if you could split it down the middle, and like, warm team combat log, cold team combat log, and it would be like based off of like time or something, so that, the left side would align with the right side. Then, you could definitely see when damage was being put out and like at what, certain times in the match. So it's like 10 seconds in, like right here, there would be, two things like, warm team did this spell and cold team that did that spell or something like that from a certain player. And I think that would just be neat as from an observer perspective to see what actually happened. What do you guys think? Is that possible?
Everything is possible.
Everything is possible with Stunlock Studios. All right, that's awesome.
Now in the prioritize this.
Yeah.
Now we see.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to be priority, but these are just things that would be neat. Here for the observer mode, like if you could make these bigger, because when I'm live streaming and stuff like that, it'd be nice to see if these numbers were a little bit bigger, so I can show things off, and you can fill up this whole gap right here and enlarge the text. That way people can read it on a rebroadcast and stuff like that. Make it much easier and just, able to help out the esport aspect of what this game could potentially be. So you need to be able to check stats quickly and easily and actually be able to read them if you're a viewer.
Yeah, good point.
Yep. So, also, can you make a thing, well, I guess, I forgot what a point was, but I was going to try and, there was something I wanted to add onto this whole bar here, but I forgot what it was, so I forgot to write it down. Alright, so moving on, where are we now? Okay, point number 32. I've gone out of order now. I did some points that were out of order, but the totem poles here, they're good, but need something spicier in the background, if possible. Something rather than just like two random heads with tongues sticking out. It's like Bloodline champions. Where's the Vanguard yelling, or some kind of catchier background to really spice this game up. I know it's not high on the priority list because you've got 10 million things to do, but is a new background potentially coming, or?
No, we haven't discussed it at all, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, I know a lot of, I know this would be a ton of work, but, StarCraft 2, Heroes of New Earth, and a lot of more up-and-coming games, have not interactive backgrounds, but they have backgrounds that have things moving and, light effects, so that it's sort of dynamic and it pulls your attention in a bit, and it's just visually appealing when I'm just sitting here, talking to people in chat, and stuff like that. So, I think it'd just be a nice touch to really show people, whoa, these guys put in a lot of effort into this game. Look at this background. I'm already impressed. That kind of thing. Because in Heroes of New Earth and StarCraft, StarCraft, you're out in space, and there's a ship going by. And Heroes of New Earth, there's a volcano in the background, and birds are flying, stuff like that. I think it's just really neat and would be a nice touch to the game. So, oh yeah, point number 33. This is a huge one. Are you guys gonna change the font for the countdown, where it's 3, 2, 1? Because it just doesn't flow with the game, in my opinion.
No, we haven't discussed that then.
Yeah, a lot of my buddies and I are just well, it's nice that they have a countdown, but it just looks terrible. Your art style as it is a mix of, African and Asian techniques, from what I can see, because it's curvy and flowy, a lot of the stuff you do. But then you have these, chiseled hard letters, and it's just, what? I see it's from the same font that you get here, but, it's just can we have something a little more stylized and a little more, epicness? Because you're about to start a match, You want something that's just Street Fighter. They have the 3, 2, 1. It's custom ink swooshes, and again, that's part of their art style with the game. So it flows with Street Fighter and their countdown and the 3, 2, 1 fight. But if you could have something a little more stylized towards the game's art style, then I think that would, again, put more polish and make the game seem more epic and hype. So, changing the font definitely would be a good idea by everybody I've talked to.
talk to the artists and see what they can do.
Talk to the artist. All right. Well, you're having them pretty busy with all the outfits and stuff, I suppose, already. Ooh, I don't know if you fixed number 34. We're gonna check that. Let's see. Point number 34 is there's some kind of like blue lighting effect when you change it from 3 to 1. You might have fixed this. This might have been still when I was in the QA. But yeah, hold on. Intro screen. Doop, doop, doop. Can you? Okay, is it possible to like if you press spacebar to skip the intro screen, or is that like you're gonna have like a taunt feature or like some kind of custom thing where you can buy and it'll like do a special dance or something?
Possibly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have something like that with emotes this year.
Okay, all right. Well, here's the lighting thing I'm talking about. Notice on the edge of the screen. It's different for each map depending on what the lighting is, but it's, you know, it really shouldn't have that kind of effect if you're just zooming out a little bit with the camera. But
exactly the distance fog, yeah, that's changed.
Yeah, but like it'll be blue for, you know, like Citadel of Amma and stuff like that. So I don't know what that is or if it's fixable because it didn't used to do that. A couple patches ago, so I don't know what exactly changed. I believe smart mode is actually a little bit smoother. I don't know if you guys touched up on that, but I think it's a little bit smoother, and you did a good job with that. So, 35. This is something more for the casuals, you know. I'm sure you guys already have like a taunt or a dance thing in the works. Can you confirm that or deny that? A slash taunt or a slash dance?
Yeah, they will come into the emote system, so you should actually like unlock taunts emotes and dance emotes, which you can play maybe in the beginning of the match or during the game.
During the match, yeah. So if you're like surrounded by 3 people and you just, you know, slash dance as you get destroyed, you know, I think it's just something pretty funny. So
it's kind of work, something like that, yeah, like emote key or something.
Yeah. Also, can there be... I know I keep referencing Heroes of New Earth and StarCraft, but in Heroes of New Earth they have this kind of like smackdown feature where like you call your kill, you know, and you get like a debuff on you. Like they can see you wherever you are on the map, like there's no fog on you, and like the mechanics would have to be changed here, but you know, you could call your target, like you could press a key or something like that. You could press like G and like have your cursor over somebody, and if you get the killing blow on them, it'd be like smackdown, or you know, just like blood kill, or whatever you guys wanted to do. But sort of adding like voice elements, you know, like Unreal Tournament. Yeah, you can't get away from the Unreal Tournament epicness, where you know they'd have the voice actors, where it'd be like double kill, hat trick. I think it'd just be pretty neat to have those kind of sound bits in there.
Yeah, I think we have it on our features for like a half year now or something.
Yeah. So maybe some kind of like, you know, that kind of feature where the taunt kill feature, and you know, for the countdown if you can do a voice thing as well. I'm not sure. That might get annoying, and you might have to have an option for it to turn it off, because some people might not like it, but it just adds a little bit more pop to the game. Yeah, surrender doesn't work sometimes. Are you guys aware of that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because like I've had games where it's been like an arena game or even just a custom game where the other team just wants to surrender, and it's like this person doesn't want to fight anymore, this person and this person surrender, and then it's like forfeit, timed out, but they all clearly wanted to surrender. So I don't know, you might have to like go and look back at that, but sometimes surrender doesn't work, and it's happened to me a couple times too. I'm just like, screw this game, I gotta get out of here, and I don't want lever points, so you know, my team surrendered and I was with buddies, but it just didn't work sometimes, and we're like, okay, well, just kill us. But oh yes, here's another thing. Alright, so say I have, you know, Bloodline Champions up, but then I want to, you know, go and put this guy on top, right? I can still click stuff behind. Let's get a better page for that. I can still sometimes click elements behind some programs. Forgot which. There's some programs where I have them up, and I can actually click behind and like click on like tutorial and stuff like that. It might be Dreamweaver. But is there any kind of like that's happened a couple times where I'll have another program up, and then I can just click on stuff behind, and it'll activate it. Do you know anything about that?
Not really. I think we fixed all those issues.
You fixed that? Alright. Yeah, there's something. I forgot. Whatever. I was having that issue for quite some time, but I guess it's fixed. I don't know. I can't replicate it right now, but I used to do it all the time. I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to buy Titan Edition, but I was clicking on another program that was on top.
Yeah, you find it again, you should.
Yeah, I should record it. So I don't know. It's like I'll have some random program during the middle of the day, and then I'll just like somehow be like navigating, and I'll get here. I'm like, I didn't do that. So, anyways, cool. Now we're going to go to point number 39. You go ladder. You got these great icons, and that's sort of where a lot of my ideas came from. Like, this is great. This is great interface right here. Boom. And then you get to this, and it's like back to the old thing, and then it's like you got these small buttons on the bottom right, and it's just like, I guess, like, click that. But, and then, it comes up with this thing, instead of having to click, like, US or EU, so that's a little improvement, but, like, why don't you guys have, like, an American flag, or not an American flag, but just, like, North America and some kind of icon here, or Europe and have some icon here, so you just quickly click one of those, and then you can start searching for a game, So it's just like EU, boom, US, boom, and you can change it on the fly really quickly, rather than, leaving the queue, having to press search rate a game, this little box coming up, and, stuff like that. I think it'd just be much easier in that aspect. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we've been discussing some interface changes, but not sure how much time we have and how important it is.
Right. And maybe something too where, like, if you double click 3v3, it like queues you for your selected region, just real quick, rather than having to press search rated game, after clicking 3v3. And I know you're going to have more, like 2v2 and like 5v5 or something eventually later, probably. I don't know what's in your scheme of books, but, I trust you guys on that one. And, is there any chance where, I know this might be tough, but, if a bunch of US players are playing on the European servers, right? They're like, oh, US matchmaking's dead, so they all play on the US servers, or the EU servers. But, like, can you have a matchmaking system where it's like, oh, there are 25 people from the US that are in the Europe queue. Why don't we put them all in the US solo queue instead? Is there any way you guys can do that? And, like, it would be an option, so that, like, if you wanted to queue with your buddy in solo MM Europe, like, it wouldn't put you in the US queue.
Yeah, probably possible, but yeah.
Cool idea, at least.
Yeah, no, like, a lot of people have been calling for that, because it's just like, oh, we gotta play on Europe, and then it's like, hey, there's a lot of Americans on right now. Why aren't we all in solo, US queue? And it's like, well, I don't know, because everybody's in Europe. So, yeah. That's something people have wanted for quite some time. A victory screen for matchmaking, you guys, that's good. I like that, how you set it all up. But right now, currently, it just says your score plus, whatever points you got, but it doesn't tell you your new total. So it just says, like, old score plus whatever points you got for winning, and maybe just like put an arrow out to the side and be like, here's your new score, like 1035 plus 45 is 1090, just something so people know their new score, because I got the achievement over 1,000 or 1,000 solo MM, and I was like, wait, I thought my score was like 900 or something like that. So just again, a small thing if you could add that in there.
Yeah, should be like the reward screen, I guess, where you can see the new rank if you moved up and stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be right by it, just a small little change. Also, is Funcom forcing you to do this? But like every time you log in, it's like buy Titan Edition, buy Champion Edition, and it's just like, all right, I don't want to see this advertisement. If I'm gonna buy something, I have to go to the marketplace anyways, and it's right here, right? Buy the Titan Edition, buy packages. So you don't need that little box that pops up whenever you first enter the game after logging in that says buy Titan Edition and stuff like that. Is that doable to get rid of that? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, whatever, I don't want this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or it's doable, but I'm not sure we want to.
Yeah, it's up to marketing. I think, as long as it makes more money to have it there, it's going to be there, I guess.
Okay. Alright. So, I guess that request is out the door. I think people would just find it annoying and be like, yeah, I'm not buying it. But, to each his own. Cool. Then we have this idea from Carbon Duck, if you want to follow his link on his forum post, about renting Bloodlines. Have you guys checked that out?
It's been discussed before, because Battle Hero has it, but it's got a big change to get in, so maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future? Okay, yeah, these are all just, things that would potentially make the game very good if it was just done in the future sometime. I just want to make sure it's in your attention. I don't know how viable this is, but like report a player system, it's had limited success in other games, and it could only be implemented in a small way. But it's just like you have some players who are just like swearing, and I guess there's a profanity filter, but or just like griefing and just going AFK and stuff like that consistently. So if there was a way where you could like report a player and like type in a specific match, or some kind of system where it's like you could show evidence that these guys were just like griefing and not playing the game the way it should, they could be, their account could be locked, they could get a warning or something like that. So also for names, you got Dirty Ass Jew, and that could be very offensive to some people. So maybe if there was some kind of name filter as well, where people.
Yeah, name filter is added now, and regarding like report system, it's a bit tricky, as you say. It's quite you could save all chat logs, and it's quite demanding to do. And you can also have like automatic system who tracks AFKers.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of work to maybe not give that much. But,
yeah, that's true. Or maybe just for names or something like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, look into that.
Alright. Bug that happens is if you hold down a movement key, or like if you're typing and you hold down like a movement key or something before the countdown's done, it'll force your character to go in that direction.
That's been fixed.
Oh, that's been fixed? Okay, like in the next patch that's coming up, I guess? Alright, cool, because, a lot of people are encountering it and they're just like, But, huge thing on IRC that's going around these days is replays. Do we have an ETA on replays? Because every competitive game has replays. And this is tailored for an esport, says so on the main page. Do we have any kind of update on that?
We haven't any ETA, but we done some testing and stuff. So
okay, so it's in the works. It's in the works.
Yeah, it's not any ETA because we haven't done any prototypes, but we're probably gonna have it sooner or later.
Okay, all right. So it is going to be implemented. That is good. That's what everybody wants to hear, because people are like, yeah, this game doesn't have replays, can't get footage, but it's good to know that you're working on it, and it will be done in the future. So we don't know when, but at least I can tell them, hey, they're working on it. So that's pretty good. Tournament system, do we have any update on that? A lot of people in IRC are just like, where's the tournament system? You know, that icon's been gray for months. What's going on?
Yeah. Tournament system is probably one of our top priorities at the moment. So we're working on that, and I think it's going great. We have more stuff to do with it, but it's gonna come, pretty soon.
Okay, awesome.
It's up to how it's gonna work out and stuff, and what's all like small features need to be added, but it's probably one of our top priorities at the moment. So.
Alright, that's awesome. In the voice chat, you know, voice over IP, I know you guys, that was a big project for you, and stuff like that, you know. Again, the quality is actually not too bad for, you know, voice over IP that you just implemented in the game, and you guys have so much going on. But a lot of people don't even know it's like in the game, or that you can have, you know, VoIP at all. And they're like, what's that yellow icon? It's like, oh, turn your voice over IP on. And they're like, oh, didn't even know that was there. So is it possible to turn everybody's on by default for next patch, and like they can mute it by clicking the icon, or, you know, or other people's icons? So
it's under discussion.
What was that?
It's under discussion. Turning on for everyone will cost us money right now, and if people are free, we're gonna lose a lot of money.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, of course there's always that economic balance that you have to always find, but
it's planned to be when we get more players and get our goal properly.
Right, okay. That's good to know. Number 48, we're almost done, guys. The inhibitor, are you aware of the M1 and M2 bug that is going on?
Yep, we should bug. Well, not a bug really. They don't share the same cooldown, so
they have
yeah, you shoot ridiculously quick, and with the health gain and the damage that it does, you can't do much against it. So, you know, there's no room for punish, and you know, a lot of people are picking inhibitor just because you can't do anything, or you can't do a lot against it unless you really burst and focus. And then he has this barrier, and it's really hard to burst him down. So.
Yeah, I play inhibitor as well. I use like switching mouse one mouse to when the problem is it's the global cooldown is very low on those abilities, so you can take the other ability to fire it really fast. So might just need some tweak in the global cooldown.
You're right, yeah. Or just they share the same cooldown, some kind of mechanic like that, because that would definitely fix that problem so easy. And then, is there, like, right now when you like join a game and you're trying to use voice over IP, the default key is V, no problem with that, but you know, it's hard for you to get rid of your cursor once it's by default in chat. So if I'm trying to use voice over IP and like, you know, I just want to talk to my friends off the bat, you know, it just spams this with V's. And to get rid of that, you have to, you know, click add friend and then press the friends thing so that there's no chat cursor down here, you know. So, but like if you just press escape, chat cursor is still there, and you know, I can't press V without it just spamming chat, and then you get, you know, a message like that, and it's like, what the heck is Kast saying? So, so maybe if you like press escape, it gets rid of the chat cursor, and you can press V or something.
Yep, probably.
And then I know you guys are swamped, but a lot of people, the male and female counterparts, they're just like, what? Female inhibitor sounds like a man. It's like, oh, whoops. So might need to just do like the voices, or I know some people are just like, man, that person, you know, male stalker, it doesn't look like a male really, you know, because like they're still swaying, and you know, they have the same kind of like sways and motions and stuff like that as if it was their female counterpart, but that's just like in the preview, so it's really not that big of a deal, but it just looks goofy. So once, you know, you guys are millionaires after this game has, you know, 3 million players consistently online, you know, I guess get around to just changing the animations a little bit between male and female or something like that. But And then point 51, Kast is broke, and he needs a key. No, it's I'm just kidding. But that's my 50 points, and I'm sorry if I was being real nitpicky, but I just really want this game to succeed. I'm putting a lot of time and effort into trying do shoutcasting and learn other stuff so I can help